Hello, hello, hello. What is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. I would say welcome to another edition of the Weekly Astro Forecast, but that's not what this is. If you are wondering who I am, if we've never met before, my name is Mel, and I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So, of course, if you are new here, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So, this channel is everything tarot, astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So, if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, so welcome to what I like to call the Truth About series. So every month I bring on a special guest to talk some truth about a particular topic. So last month, we talked about the truth of twin flames and divine unions. And tonight, I'm super excited because we are talking tarot tonight. So it's all about the truth about tarot, okay? A very interesting topic because I know at one point in time, tarot was very taboo. You know, people weren't really out there doing it like that. Now you'll find that everyone and their mother is a reader. Everyone is doing readings on TikTok and on social media, but there's still quite a bit of misinformation being circulated about the topic. So today I am bringing on one of my favorite people. I call her your reader's favorite reader because I'm your favorite reader, but she is my favorite reader, and I'm so excited to have her here tonight. So tonight, I am bringing on my homegirl, Poseidon's Gypsy, all right? Also known as NY Synergy on Instagram. So my love, Shanice, hello, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. Oh, hold on a second. I think I muted you.
Good.
There we
All good.
go.
I told you technology is not my friend, so it's fine. Hi, Mel. Good to see you. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
I am so excited because tarot is something that's near and dear to both of us. And like I said, I feel like there's a lot of misinformation that's being circulated about it. And I feel like tonight we're going to set the record straight. We're going to give you a whole bunch of useful and valuable information so that you are, doing okay here out in these streets. Because let me tell you, some of the people out here doing readings and, teaching you about tarot, it ain't the business. Let me tell you. So I'm super excited to have you and to discuss this wonderful topic. All right.
Thank
So
you. Thank you.
I guess we'll start at the beginning, right? So I think that one of the things that most people want to know about is like, how do you even get into tarot, right? I feel like everyone's story about tarot is different. Everyone's experience with tarot is different, especially like especially if you're a reader, if you read for yourself or even if you read for others, sort of before you started reading, I'm sure many of us had one sort of preconceived notion about what tarot is. And then as we embarked on our journey and we started reading, the perception definitely shifted. So I definitely want to know, what is your experience with tarot and how did you come to start reading?
It's such a loaded question because now my world is so tarot filled and divination filled that like going to the beginning is far back. But I just remember being a teenager and my homegirls and I used to play cards a lot. And we were in Borders bookstore. This was before Barnes and Noble was huge.
I remember
Um,
Borders.
you remember Borders? So before Barnes and Noble was huge, and we were at the mall, and I saw these cards. I thought we were just going to play with them. I mean, everybody's heard of Ouija boards before. We've watched movies, go in the bathroom and say, Candyman 3 times. All teenagers are into that spooky stuff, and I didn't think that at the time those cards were spooky stuff. They were just a deck of cards that I thought we would play spades or something else with. But when I got them, it definitely wasn't that. I was very curious from the very first picture that came out on a deck. Now that the pictures have changed drastically, but the Fool card looked very different. And I'm like, Fool. And as I'm going through them, you see, I don't know what it was. It was just attractive to me. But I also knew that I should not be playing with those in my Nana's house. all of us black children know we going to hell for doing anything outside of the Church of Jesus Christ. Okay, so I was
Exactly.
aware of that. I wasn't that naive. I knew, and so I was just hiding them for a long time under my pillow and my mattress. When I went to college, I took them to college with me, and I was in a private Christian college at this time. Took them to college with me. Didn't tell people, but people started noticing that I could predict things before it happened. And I attribute a lot of that to tarot. The fact that I was sleeping with the cards and like looking at them constantly or drawing my own pictures of them. I think I channeled some kind of symbolism, and here I am many, many moons later. That's tarot. Everything else is a different story, but for tarot, that is the tarot story. I just stumbled upon cards.
Okay, cool. So it's safe to say that you've been into tarot for a long time then.
Yes, since I was a teenager. So this is before my 18th birthday. So I guess 17. And I've always had them. I did get to like play read for some of my the peers that I went to school with in this private Christian college, but then I was scared it was going to come out because I was an RA, a resident assistant, and I didn't know what if somebody was going to say, so I put them away. But yes, I've been into tarot for a good long time. It just took me a while to come out with it.
I completely understand that. Completely. So you said something interesting. You said like you knew that you weren't supposed to be doing that in your nana's house, right? So talk to me if you can or if you would
Okay.
like about your sort of religious or spiritual upbringing and
Woo!
how and how that has affected your desire to learn tarot and your ability to read
Oh yeah.
tarot.
Oh yeah. That's why I brought the glass of wine today.
Yes. I
I
love it. I
figured
love
I would
it.
have to go into this part of my life. So, as many of my followers know, as many of my friends, I hate saying followers, as many of my peoples know, I grew up in foster care. My mother had a breakdown and left us three in the house, and of course, we ended up in this strange woman's home. Who was we call her Nana, but she was 60 years older than us, and she's very strict. Very much into church, and so of course I grew up in the church. I can quote you any scripture at any time. I was a praise and worship leader for many years, for many well-known pastors, even televangelists. I've been praise and worship leader for. But going back to my childhood, we were in my nana's house, strictly Christian, nothing else. We just read Bible, did verses, everything.
Mm.
One day I'm at school. Um, I'll try to keep this on a light note. I was at school, and a girl said to me in the third grade that I was a Scorpio. Of course, my spirituality had happened well a little bit before this, but I'm trying to keep everything on a lighter note. We'd have to revisit childhood trauma, but childhood trauma is what got me into finding Jesus. We'll talk about Jesus later. Jesus is my ancestor, but we will get into Jesus later.
All right.
So a kid at my school, she was like, well, you're a Scorpio. I didn't know what that meant, but I had encyclopedias at home, big Encyclopedia Britannicas. And so I'm rushing home. Of course, I live in Brooklyn. So we're not taking the bus. We're taking our bus money and buying chips and juice and candy, and then we're running home. So I run home to get to my encyclopedia. I see what a scorpion is, like a animal, insect, whatever y'all call it. Don't down me. I'm a teacher. I know. But when I went back a page, I saw these symbols that I know as zodiac symbols, and it talked about a Scorpio. And I was so enthralled with this idea that I was something more than a foster child, that I wasn't focused on anything else but this reading. As I'm reading,
Mm.
and I was a very avid reader at the time. I could read almost anything. My nana came in the room. She sees me reading this text about being a Scorpio, and she goes berserk. She snatches the encyclopedia from
Mm.
me. She beats me over my head with the encyclopedia. And then for my punishment, because she said we're not doing devil's work in her house,
Mm.
for my punishment, I had to sit in a pile of raw rice on my knees all night in the kitchen, reciting, scriptures and Bible verses and whatever. So that started the journey. Trauma usually is what brings people closer to spirituality.
Absolutely.
And I was completely traumatized in my childhood, although I don't look at it as painful as I do at times, as people do. I was she did what she could for us, but abused. I mean, we were beat every day, but I think that is what I know that is what drew me closer to God and this idea of who this Jesus was and if God is God, why did we need this Jesus? And I was just so enthralled about finding out, was Jesus real? Until I had to stop worrying about if Jesus was real and just worry about, am I real, etc. But that's how I got into spirituality. We were in church 5 times out of the week. As I said, I was a worship leader for many people. And then I realized there was something else going on. I could see things before it happened. If a prophet came into the church, I knew who they were going to pick to talk about. I didn't know what they were going to say, but I knew the person they were going to choose. And my girlfriend used to say to me, "How do you do that?" Because I used to tell her, "Watch this. This is the song that's up next." And it would happen, and I'd be like, "He gonna call on her." She always asked, "How do I do that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Don't y'all know this? Don't you? Can't y'all see it?" Like, I just thought everybody could. And then I dream every single night, all night, in color. I could tell you every single dream I've ever had. I don't forget them. I didn't know that people did not dream like that. So
Mm-hmm.
that helped me. Like, all of just these different, spirituality is so vast, but religion is where my foundation began, and learning how to do rituals and how to pray and how to be quiet for a length of time, how to serve one other than myself, how to give back to people other than my own around me, how to worship, how to tap into other spirits. I didn't know that at the time. I found out later that that's what I was doing. But long
Oh,
story
wow.
short, that's the long story.
Nice. I love it. So I love that because you are someone who is clearly spiritually inclined. Or I should say that you are someone who's been in alignment with your spirituality for a long time. And later on, we're going to talk about how to vet your reader. But
Yes.
suffice it to say, that's kind of one of the things that you might, and you might not know someone's story. It's not to say that you need to interview every person that reads for you,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
check their spiritual alignment because some people are not aligned to anything but themselves and their ego. But
Themselves. And
we'll get to
ego.
them.
Oh, ego. We could talk about that one for a very long time.
Yes. Most definitely, most definitely. But yeah, I do think that religion is basically the foundation for spirituality because it's most for most of us that's our gateway into finding other things.
Yeah, I think religion is the foundation for many things dealing with the spirit world. If you look at musicians, most of them started in church, or there was
Exactly.
some song in the church that moved. It's something about, I hate saying religion, but it's something about gospel and gospel music, and these spirits that are in church that are actually very equivalent to what we find in the esoteric world. I'm
Yes.
not sure why we're separating it. We call it esoteric. Some people call it witchcraft. Some people call it manifestations. Other people call it the Holy Spirit. Whatever you call it, it works. It is a spirit that we're tapping into. And I think religion is, a lot of us try to negate religion and say, "Oh, we're not religious anymore. We're spiritual," and I agree with that. But I can't avoid the foundation that I was brought up in. Me learning to read the Bible has taught me more about tarot than most people would even know. Most people don't even realize that tarot is filled with Jewish mysticism
Yes.
and Judaism and things from the Kabbalah and the Torah.
Yes.
It's filled with
Mhm.
it. And it's easy for me to identify it because I was literally beaten over the head to learn about the Bible and God and all of that. So we can't negate religion and the things that it does teach us, and moral standards and moral values that it teaches us. We can avoid the deception and the manipulation and the greed from church, but I still cannot turn my back completely 100% away from it. It is my foundation in everything, even the way we cook. That's where we get that from. That soul food, we get it from that part of our lives.
I completely agree with you. Like you can't just there's so many things in nothing is ever black and white. Nothing is ever
Mhm.
absolute, right? And there's so many truths in religion, despite the fact that there are a bunch of untruths and things like that, but
Correct.
um there's so much there. I know for me, so I grew up Catholic, which is I like to call like diet spirituality because
Yeah.
it can, it can be very 45 minutes on Sunday and you're like good for the week, right? Like
That's it. Uh-huh.
but so there was always this perception in much like other Christianity and other sects of Christianity that, tarot is evil. And I remember when I saw tarot cards as like a kid, it completely freaked me out. It was so scary because you see like the death card, you see the devil, even like
Yes.
what you said, the fool card, the depiction of the fool card
Yes.
it looked so weird. And I was just like, oh no, this is horrible. Like, no, 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 this thing is so scary. And then
Mhm.
I started my spiritual awakening, and the first thing that came to me was tarot. Like I had a friend of mine who really sort of opened the door for me in terms of spirituality, and she taught me tarot, and she gifted me my first tarot deck. And I
Love
was
it.
just like, I remember being like, I don't know if I can use this, like really debating with myself, is this evil, is it not, I don't
Yep.
know. All
Yep.
I knew is that it was speaking to me, and it like speaking to me in the sense that I felt not only pulled to it, but even when I looked at the images, it's almost like I could hear
The
things.
connection. Hmm.
And it was scary. It was scary. And so there's this tradition that I don't know if you're familiar with this, but they say that you should be gifted your first tarot deck.
Yes.
Like you shouldn't buy your first tarot deck.
Yes.
And I was
Yep.
gifted my first tarot deck, but I didn't really connect with it. I think that it was, to put it in an analogy, I think it was like I was trying to do the deck was like I was trying to do calculus, but I only knew algebra. I think I needed a more basic deck to start with.
Yes. Yes. I understand that analogy so much. I understand. You were trying to jump leaps and bounds too soon.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So I ended up going to Barnes and Noble, and I'm like, all right, they have a whole bunch of different tarot decks, and I found one that was like a starter deck, and it came with the book. And so I just started studying, and like you, I would sleep with them. Like I would put them under my pillow. I would have them on my person like all the time. And then that's
Mhm.
when like weird things started happening. So I started seeing spirits. They would come
Mm.
visit me at night. And to this day, when they come and visit, they'll pull on my toes. So, like, literally feeling
Wow.
someone pulling on my toes. Yeah. I was like, see, I knew that this is the devil's work. I'm like, I knew I shouldn't be doing
No,
this.
you're not touching me. You're not touching my toes. Ah.
Yeah. It was crazy. But then the clairaudience started kicking in and started getting very loud and very clear. And after a while, just the connection with the decks and with spirit, because
Yes.
at
Yes.
first it feels like you're connected to the deck, so you're like, okay, I feel something with this deck, but then you realize it's spirit, and you realize that you are in communication with spirit, that you're in alignment with spirit. And so that's when I was like, okay, there's more to this. And then it's just and like you, I'm someone who dreams every night. I prophesize. I see things before they happen. And I didn't know that, just like you, I didn't know that other people didn't do that either. I thought everyone was like that. So I would ask people, what did you like? I had this dream. Like, do you dream like this? And they're like, dream. They're like, I never
Dream,
dream,
what? No, exactly.
or I don't remember it. And so that's sort of how I came to be accustomed with tarot, and how I started using it on a regular basis.
Okay.
So so I know that you use tarot on a regular basis because I watch you almost every day on Instagram doing
Thank
amazing
you.
readings, right?
Thank you.
So how did you come to integrate tarot regularly into your spiritual practice?
Yeah, so and I was doing a lot more before tarot. When I first started outside of church and singing with church, I was into crystals heavily. I'm still into crystals heavily. I was dating this guy, and he had introduced one crystal to me, and that was it. I started like making crystal jewelry. I started getting more into it,
Mm.
and then he and I had broken up, and my girlfriends took a trip to New York. Two of my girlfriends actually, and that's funny that they're my girlfriends because these were students that I taught a long time ago. But I'm very close friends with a lot of my old students. And we went took a trip to New York, and we went to a Botanica just to go pick up some witch stuff. Like I needed more Florida water. I was into candle magic and helping people with certain things, so I needed to restock. And in the Bronx in New York is the biggest and the oldest that I've known Botanica, the
I've
original
been there,
Botanica.
yeah.
Shout out to the original Botanica in the Froggy Down Bronx. So we went to go stock up on items, and we noticed that there was this line. And my girlfriend went over and asked them what was the line. They was like, oh, it's to do readings with this guy named Alex. Shout out to Alex. And so we were like, okay, well, let's just get a reading and see. Cool. At this point, I had not told people that I was a tarot reader. Even my girlfriends who I was with, they knew I had just finished my Reiki class with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so
That's how
we're
we
in the
met.
Bronx. Yeah, we're in the Bronx. And he says to me, oh, no. This was right before the Reiki class, right before Reiki. We go to read with Alex, who later becomes my mentor. He is my mentor through everything that I do now. And he said to me, he said, you're a gypsy. Where are your tarot cards? I had never told anybody about these cards. And that was his first introduction to me. And when he said it, I wrote it down, and he was like, every day they should be on you. And why aren't you reading? What are you scared of? I don't even understand the woman in front of me, because the spirit behind her
Mm.
is so strong. I can barely sit in the room with both of you.
Ooh.
And I was like, wow. He's like, but you are small compared to her. And it shouldn't be that way. And so it was we found out that it was just my childhood traumas. I was just, my Nana had gotten me so into devil's work, that I thought everybody would think that of me. Plus, I was a teacher. I've been a high school English teacher for 21 years. I didn't want people thinking I was doing witchery on their children or some nonsense. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a mother of 3 children. I didn't want anybody thinking I was performing anything, and my kids didn't know about it either at the time. So we finished this reading with Alex. um, he gives me this thing, and once he mentioned the spirit behind me, it resonated. I had always felt, every time I'm always turning around like this, I'm always looking, I'm always moving my hair. People think it's a vain thing. It's not. I have to see what's on the sides of me at all times, because I've been snuck attacked many times by cats and everything. So I need to see. But I always felt this presence of this large form. Couldn't get what it was. And then he introduced me to who this spirit was, which happened to be Yemaya, um, an Orisha that I started working with. And then I woke up one day and I was like, I'm going to do my readings on Instagram. I read for my girlfriends. One girl said that I was on point. The other one was like, nope, none of that was for me. So I almost felt defeated. Then I know me. The best way for me to get rid of fear is to step out and just fucking do it. And I did. I logged on one night on Instagram and I just started doing readings. And then I'm going far. I'll stop there. I just started doing readings. There have been times when I stopped doing them because it was wrong. It was a time when a reading that I gave was wrong. And I was so embarrassed, I stopped doing readings. And then I learned to tap into my spirits that work with me. They give the readings. I know me, I have too much self doubt. They actually move me out the way. I'm sitting around them now. I have a couple of dolls sitting right here as I'm talking, and I'm looking at them to make sure like I'm good. They're like, you're fine. But they help me to be more bold than I typically am. For a Scorpio woman, I should be a lot more. I'm a Sagittarius rising, a Leo moon. I should be more out and about. But childhood traumas kind of bumped me back, and now I'm finally at 45. Don't give a flying F. I'm out here with it all. That's my long story, not made short.
And I love it. I love it because I know a while back you and I had a conversation about like coming out of the spiritual closet and really, yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Good.
And owning who we are and what it is that we do. And so I know how difficult that can be. And I've loved
Yeah.
to see your evolution because I remember we were in Reiki, you were like, yeah, I kind of read or whatever. And to go from there to see you now, like when I tell you her readings are on point, people, they are on point, like to the minutest detail, things that people would not know she is able to pick up on.
I
So
love
I
it.
love
Thank
to
you.
see that evolution. I love it. I love it. I love
Yes,
it.
and shout out to our Reiki class. But I feel like Reiki definitely opened up channels within me that I wasn't aware of. And oh man, did Reiki! I attribute my initial step out to Reiki. Definitely.
Reiki definitely unlocked a lot.
Hmm.
A
Hmm.
lot, a lot, a lot. Okay. So let's see. What else can we talk about with respect to tarot? So on your
Um,
spiritual journey, how has tarot been I guess useful to you?
It's funny because I don't read for myself. I don't want to hear it. I don't care. I don't want to know it. Plus, I already know what it's going to say. I get it. But it, I wish I could put it into one phrase. It has emboldened me. It's something about these symbols. When I see it, I feel like I don't know if I was supposed to make tarot cards in my former life, although I thought I was supposed to be a madam in my former life. I thought I would run a brothel and have women uh, going to sell themselves and giving men a good time. I really did. I think I was one of those women in my past, like Big Mama Thornton, and I got a whole stack of women waiting on men. Anyway, I thought that was it. But I think, because when I look at these figures in the tarot, I see things. Tarot cards can have 25 meanings per card, and then I'm reading for zodiac signs. And every zodiac is different based on their rising and their moon and their Mercury and where then everything just matters. So something about these symbols don't get me. And I think tarot caused me to be a lot more confident. A lot of people think that tarot is just a fortune telling gig, or it's a predictor. If that is what it's being used for, it's being misused. Tarot is supposed to be like an inspiration, and awareness. It's an awakening. It's like, before you go into the fridge, there's no more eggs. So there's no point in you going in there. Your stomach is not set for the eggs because there's no more eggs in there. So now you can choose something else. And I feel like that's what tarot is to me. Tarot is telling me, like, look, your focus right now is not on love, it's on business. So my appetite then is not set for love, it is set for business. I want to hear then what these cards got to say about my money or my business. And when I watch how other people receive the readings, it boosts my confidence, and I do take to heart everything that is said to everyone else because I know it's coming back to me. I feel like
Mm.
I'm attached to the people. I feel like somehow we have a connection, especially when I go online, because I can pick up individuals like you. I picked up that your parents were in the hospital. Had no clue. I just kept saying, somebody's in the hospital. Earth signs, y'all got somebody in this damn hospital. And they
Yes.
wouldn't leave me alone. Remember, I couldn't come off
Yeah,
it.
you kept repeating it, and I was like, "Well, damn, why are you just putting my business out there like
Yeah, and I couldn't leave it alone. And it was because you were on the line. Had you not been on the line, I would not have read that. I would have read something different.
Yeah.
So it emboldens me. It shows me that there are realms that we have yet to unlock. And that's what it's done. It's taken me into a rabbit hole of other things, as you know, as well. Astrology. I've started taking astrology classes because I'm like, this is too connected. And then I started thinking
Mhm.
about, as I was dealing with astrology, I started thinking about NASA. And then I found out that NASA did not start by studying space, they started by studying the ocean. And I'm like, wait,
Mm.
what? So now I'm like, so are the aliens in the ocean? And then are we the aliens on this plane? And then there's a divine. So you
I
get
have
what I'm
I
saying?
have
So,
heard that theory, yes.
and I believe it. So I think that tarot, it inspires, it opens, it gives you insight, it forms your day. I love it. I do it every day. I miss it when I don't get to do it every day. I don't read for myself because I don't like the messages that I get, and I don't like to misinterpret. I feel, and I shut the messages down. If it shows anything with cups, I'm not listening. Period.
That that is hilarious. That's hilarious.
What about
Um,
you though? What do you do tarot for yourself? Do you read for yourself?
every day.
Mm.
Every day is part of my daily ritual. So apart from just meditation, I'll pull out the cards and be like, all right, spirit, what do you have to tell me today? And what I love about tarot is that so it allows you to connect with a lot of different spirits. It's all
Yes,
about what you're attuned to at
we
that
should
time,
talk
sort of
about
what
that
you want to
next.
know, what kind of relationships that you have with the different spirits. And I love how like they will guide you to use a certain deck at a certain time on a certain day for a certain message. And the
Correct.
messages can vary depending on the spirit. Like,
Hmm.
I know if spirit has something like an overarching message to tell me, some kind of theme, like maybe there's something I need to work on, like in terms of shadow work, it will direct me to use oracle cards and tarot cards and do a
Yeah.
particular spread. But sometimes spirit likes to gossip. Other times spirit likes to give you like tidbits of like superficial kind of information. and I'll just use tarot, and sometimes it'll tell me something funny, or
Yes.
it'll tell me other people's business. Like, especially like if I have a dream about someone, I'll pull out the cards and it'll tell me that person's business. And
Everything.
not just to be nosy, but sometimes there's a message that you need to impart on that person. Sometimes there's a situation where whatever that person's going through has an impact on you, or like it could be a whole bunch of different things. But yeah, I read for myself every day. Like, it's just a way to really just connect with spirit and talk to spirit, because I feel like meditation, you listen. I feel like
Yeah,
tarot is sort of the way to have the conversation. Like, I can
it is.
ask out loud and then you actually show me, and that's the message. That's us having a
Exactly.
conversation. So yeah, I read for myself every day. But yeah, I get you. Sometimes the message, sometimes spirit can be very harsh when you read for yourself.
Very harsh. But I like that you brought up that there are different spirits. I think that's important for people to know if they're seeking a tarot reader. And I know I don't think you've gotten to that part about vetting your tarot reader yet,
Mm-mm.
so we can hold on that. But that there are different types of readers. Not everyone is using spirit. Some people are just using their deck or their intuition
Or the book that comes with the deck.
or the
Like,
book.
and I mean,
Yeah,
there's nothing
and they'll actually read it from the book.
right. And I'm just like, wow, like,
I could have read that.
exactly.
Y'all got more followers from reading from a book, and I'm telling you what's coming from the actual spirits, and that works.
Seriously, it's like, okay, yeah, like you really don't know. And I've talked to people about that in particular, like, being able to channel different spirits with tarot.
Yeah,
And I think that that's what some people find scary,
yeah,
both readers and people who get readings, because they're like, well, which spirit are you channeling? Like, is it a benevolent spirit? Is it like a demon? Like, what are you? And all I can say is, at least in my experience, it's like I have a pantheon of spirits that walk
yeah.
with me, that work with me, that I know, that I have a relationship with. I'm not channeling like wayward spirits or demons or anything, because sometimes, but you never know,
Beelzebub.
right? So, I'm channeling, and usually whoever sort of comes through is the person who is best for that job.
Yeah,
Meaning, if you have like a love situation, there's a particular spirit or a particular energy that's going to come forward, as opposed to if you're talking about work or if you're talking about
mhm,
family, right?
agreed.
Or maybe I've also been able to channel ancestors in readings, and that has been crazy. Like, I'll have people's nanas coming through,
Yeah.
people's parents, and they have messages for you. And I remember the first time that happened, it actually happened during Scorpio season. And I was like, when the veil is super thin, and I'm giving someone a reading, and his grandma, great grandma showed up, and her presence was so powerful.
Yes.
And, I don't necessarily know how it works with other people, but the way that she was talking to me, she would touch me, like, she wanted to convey that she was very proud of this person. And so she
Hmm.
hugged me, and I could feel her. I felt like I could almost smell her too. And of course it freaked me out. And I told the client that, because that was the first time it ever happened in a reading. Like, it happened on accident. And I was
Hmm.
like, yeah, I think I need to shut this down, because I don't like, your Nana seems very nice. Like, she seems like a very
Yeah.
nice woman, but this is a little too much for me to handle. But
Agreed.
it's working with spirits that you have a relationship with. And like you said, there are some people, they're not channeling anything. They're either memorizing stuff, or it's their ego. Because here's the thing, like, and I'm thankful to say that I don't let a lot of people read for me.
Nope.
Like, it's very few people who I allow in my energy field to
Hmm.
read for me. But I did have an experience once, like when I first started. I want to say like this was 10 years ago. And it felt like this person kind of just wanted to give me the advice that they thought I needed. It had really nothing to do with the cards. It had really nothing to do with spirit or what I needed. It's like this
Yes.
person wanted to just tell me what they thought I should do, or how they thought I should be living my life, or whatever.
Yeah.
And you have
Yeah.
to be careful with that, because some people really are operating out of ego. they're just like, they're either, well, they are operating out of ego. Some people they love the aesthetic, right? I think that one of the issues with spirituality is now it's a look, it's a
Yep.
trend. So people want to be like decked out in crystals and carrying cards and channeling. Meanwhile,
And
they
to
ain't
look
channeling shit,
elevated. Yeah.
right? Like just on this vibe, right? And they're giving you readings. Other people are like, oh, this is a cash grab because everyone's paying for readings, everyone's paying for this and that. Like, let me just jump on this bandwagon real quick and make this, make
Right.
this money. So they're not channeling anything either, except just through their ego. So I think it's really important to so we can talk about it now. So when it comes to vetting a reader, what do you think is important and how do you even vet a reader?
So, first, people have to distinguish between if they're looking for a tarot reader or a divinator, or a psychic reader or a medium. There are different types of readers. A tarot reader obviously is going to use tarot cards. A divinator will use maybe tarot cards, maybe chamalangas, which I was looking for where mine are somewhere. Maybe they're using pendulums. A psychic reader may use a tool or may just use their clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairsentience, and any of the other clairs. Um, or a medium is somebody who can tap into people who are living on the other side of life. I don't like saying the dead. I definitely feel like they're very much living, but you guys get what I'm saying. So you have to make sure, one, that you're looking for a tarot reader. Like, you want to make sure that the person reading for you is using a tool, and that's a deck of tarot cards. Secondly, what do you want from this reading? If you're just trying to ask a question about a relationship, then you need to make sure that as this person is giving you the answers, that you're just not denying them simply because it's not what you wanted to hear. And that's a good, that's a big one. Some tarot readers will pray before their readings. I always pray before my readings, because I use spirits and I use spirit guides, all good ones, but I use them so that I can be out of these readings. I used to be heavy in them, and I was getting acne everywhere, or I had many accidents and I was in the hospital over and over, not realizing that I wasn't protecting myself. It was me doing
Mm-hmm.
the reading. So they use spirits. You need to see if your tarot reader uses spirits. And then you also need to see if their personality fits yours. I can laugh at the worst times in the middle of a reading. I will die laughing if I see the Tower card, the
I've
Devil
seen that.
card. I cannot help it. I'm thinking about it now. If I see the Tower card, I'm gonna bust out laughing. If I see the Devil card, oh, the devil is about to send me over, because it makes me uncomfortable. And when I'm uncomfortable, I laugh. And I try to help make light of a dark situation or what I'm about to say. However, as you pointed out earlier, Mel, some spirits are not into the game. Sometimes you get a spirit that's reading for you and she is harsh. And that's one of my girls. Her name is Gigi. If I tap Gigi in, she's going to go off on you and then exit and leave me there looking at you like, I'm sorry. So I'm sorry, it wasn't me. So when you're looking for a reader, you want to make sure that their personality matches yours, that you've seen consistency in them, and that you've seen accuracy. Not everything is going to be accurate overnight. Some things come out later. So you need to make sure that they are accurate, or that they have a consistency with accuracy. Not just because it's what you wanted to hear. See if it came out. Try the tarot reader. Don't test the spirit. But ask the tarot reader. One time when I first started reading, and my tribe was on the line with me. It was like 30 of us on the line. I'd got a new deck. Here they go right here. These gypsy cards, gypsy fortune cards.
Mm-hmm. I have
And
those
I
too.
said, guys, I got a new deck tonight. I just want to see if it works. Ask me any question, anything you could think of. So one person was like, is my cup pink or brown? So I'm like, all right. I'm looking and I'm like, so that's how they were able to test if the cards were correct. Not at me. I'm right. But if the cards were correct. Once we got past that, they were able to see, okay, she is a legit, thorough reader. I want you guys to make sure that that's the lifestyle you like. Are you okay with your reader looking normal? Some people, I remember when I started reading for a coworker, she said, "Where's your stuff?" I like the readers that look like, the ones at the
like
carnival.
real chill at the carnival, really?
I'm not lying. She's about 60, almost, no, she's in her 50s. And she was like, "I want that. I want to see Miss Cleo." She wanted the gimmick. You make sure
The
that are
aesthetic.
you okay with your reader looking very normal and having on regular clothes and reading you fulfilled? Do you want a more natural, holistic type person? I mean, I wear wigs and weaves. You may not become. You might think that that doesn't work for you. You might think it's fake or it's not real. It protects my head. That's why I wear them. It protects my head. I must protect my crown. All those messages coming in, I have to protect it. Wigs and weaves are the easiest way for me to do that. But do you want them dressing gimmicky? And sometimes I do have on gimmick things because I'm channeling a different type of spirit. So I've got like some jingle jangles here, and I've got bracelets, and I wear the thing on my head. All of that. What is it that you are looking for? Somebody direct, somebody harsh, somebody soft. I sing songs when I get readings. That might annoy you. You might need to find another reader. Do you need a reader of a certain race or a certain culture or a certain background to understand where you're coming from? Do you want a reader that's into witchcraft and divination so that after your reading they can do work for you? Um, all of those things are important. Are you okay with
Hmm.
dolls? Do you know if they're into hoodoo or voodoo? I have a doll here. Are you okay with me sitting here reading with her here? That might not work for most people, which is why she sits away. She don't get on camera. Okay? Gigi is no joke. When she comes, it's just a lot, and she deals with the people who are living on the other side. So I try not to use her as much because once they come in, it does still bother me. It still disturbs my soul that they can come in and start dealing. That's why I pray before I read and say, spirits, y'all know the rules: no movements, no touching, no appearances unless necessary.
Hmm.
All of that to say, yes, find those things out before you get a reader. And make sure
Exactly.
your reader is not just about the money. I hate tapping on the money because we all don't do this for free. We all should be getting rewarded for our gifts and our works. But sometimes when they're just about the money, you're not going to feel fulfilled and you're not going to get what you need. Make sure, for me, it is very important that a reader cares about your well being more than how much each thing is going to cost. I've done people have booked 30-minute readings and I've been on the phone with them for an hour because spirit never said stop. But there are some people who are like, look, after 15 the camera shuts off, we're done, you have to book me again. I'm not a hotline, but that's what you get. I would advise you all not to use TikTok unless you have vetted that reader, unless you have watched them repeatedly and seen if it's right. TikTok is just flashy, it looks good, it looks good. Spirituality is not as fun as you all think it is.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at
Did
all.
that make sense? Everything I said, did that make
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I just want to highlight this comment again. Rob Blackstorm, one of my favorite people. He's like, I'll read a person with a hoodie on. I don't care. Like, yeah, it's really about like your own personal style, your own what makes you comfortable, right? Because as a channeler, like I think you have to be comfortable, like, because it can already be a sort of uncomfortable situation to begin with. I know that sometimes when I do readings, I'm a little uncomfortable because sometimes spirit will really go in on
Yep.
someone, like people's business. Like, there are times I'm like, I really don't think that I should
I don't
know
want to say
this.
that. I don't want to say
I'm like it's almost like I feel like I'm in the middle between a conversation between you and spirit, and there are times I feel like, yo, you should have asked me to leave the room because the things
it.
that
Yo,
you're
for
revealing
real,
about this
because I don't
person,
want.
it's a
I
little
want your
too
part.
much. It's a little too much, right? So it can be an already kind of uncomfortable situation for the reader.
Yeah.
As someone who is receiving a reading, I think the first thing with anything is always intention. Like, why do you even want a reading to
Yeah.
begin with? And this is going to segue into the next topic, but suffice it to say, it's like some people, they do it for shits and giggles, right? And I'm not saying that there's anything necessarily wrong with that. You might want to find a reader that's like a TikTok reader, because it
Yeah.
like readings are serious, right? And they're meant to provide clarity, confirmation, enlightenment, healing. There's
Correct.
so much that you can get from a reading. And sometimes I know I know me personally, the spirits that I work with, if you ask stupid questions, you will get stupid answers. And sometimes spirit is not, actually, spirit is with the shits. If you want to come on some bullshit, if you
All
are
the
not
way with the
serious,
shit.
spirit will match your energy. So it all, like, sometimes if you receive a reading and you feel like, oh, that wasn't that good, or I don't really get it, sometimes you kind of have to check yourself too, because apart from all of the things that readings read your energy, the energy that you present with in that moment. It's like a picture. You know how some people take those aura pictures and it shows your aura?
Yes.
That is what a reading is sometimes. So if you come to a reading with mixy energy, if you come to a reading not believing either, like I've had readings with people who they're kind of testing it, but you could tell they really don't believe in readings. Like, you will get a reading that either makes no sense or spirit is going to read you for filth and make you believe, right? So it's all about the energy that you bring into this whole situation.
Yeah.
So again,
I've had,
it's about intention. I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I've had two situations, only two in my career, where people just did not believe, and it was their friends who booked the reading for them, and so they came, and you could see it on their face. They were just like, okay. Okay, nope, that's not me. Nope, that's not me. And I immediately stopped the reading. I do not continue. I'm not trying to force anybody. And I kindly said to both, and I had to learn. The one thing I don't like is to be offended. I might not be as confident in every other area. You offend me, my Scorpio tail is showing. So I had to say, I'm so sorry that you booked this reading. You should not have, but I'm going to ask you to have a very nice day and make sure you pray. Goodbye. Hang up the phone. You are blocked. You can't find me again. You will not talk. They be like, she's so rude. Yep, because you're not about to come into my store acting like you ain't come here to purchase my goods. If you didn't want it, don't come in here. If you wanted Louis Vuitton, you should have went over to Louis Vuitton. But you didn't. So don't come in here acting like you knew your answers. Because if you did, you wouldn't have been with me. I don't. Mm-mm, mm-mm, and mm-mm. And people should be careful with that too, because remember, we're dealing with spirits. Some of us are spirit readers. And so you're opened up a gateway into your lives, and you sitting up there acting like it ain't you, or you're trying to test spirit, you're going to be tested, and you have no way of shutting it off because we haven't closed it out. That's why I pray before I read. That's why I give the bottom of the deck energy read, just to make sure that people are protected once they leave me or once they have seen the reading, so nothing is attached. But you come in here messing around, you're gonna have a lot attached to you, because I don't just do tarot readings, I also do other works. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Watch yourself.
Exactly. 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 And so this kind of segues into another thing that I wanted to talk about that I sort of pointed out today is like when not to get a reading. And so, like I was saying, it's all about intention, right? And, desperation as an intention has a very sort of specific energy signature to it. And it's tough as a reader when someone comes to you and they're feeling desperate, or they're
Yeah.
feeling like they have an emergency and they need some kind of guidance. Because I feel like a lot of times you'll get the guidance that you need, but I've also seen people who don't heed that guidance because their desperation doesn't allow them to really get the message that spirit is trying to tell
Mhm.
them. Other people, it's like they think they use tarot as more of a crutch, right? And it's not to say that you shouldn't turn to tarot when you have issues. Like, that's typically when you do turn to tarot, right? But if you are constantly looking outside of yourself, if you're constantly seeking validation, confirmation, and not cultivating it within, I think that sometimes that can also be kind of a problem. So what do you think about that?
I have to agree with you. You hit the nail on the head when you said desperation. Um, I can't. I think you're looking for a miracle at that point. You're not trying to get an answer. You want me to fix your problem, or you want me to say what you want me to say. Being desperate, as she said, that energy transfers right on in, and the reading can be confusing. It can be misleading because that is the energy that you've given.
Mm-hmm.
And usually when clients book with me, I send them this whole page a day before. to tell them how to log on to find me and to drink plenty of water, to make sure they breathe in, breathe out, breathe out. I also do not do emergency readings.
Yeah,
I've
me
done
neither.
one. I've done two emergency readings in my life. One was for my best friend about her mother, and this was actually recently. I actually hit her up and I was like, "Hey, can we do it tomorrow?" And she was like, "No, my mom's having surgery." Boom. So that I had to call in these other spirits who work well in that area in emergencies, but to call them in means I'm tapped out for a good minute. One other girl had hit me up about a relationship, and she wasn't receptive to what I had to say. She had an idea in her own mind. So I do not do emergency readings. To give you time. I have a form for people to fill out. I never look at the form. It's just so they can vent and get it off their chest. Sometimes you just want to be heard. Sometimes you just need a therapist. You don't need a tarot reader. You just need a
That part.
therapist. Um, I don't read for pregnant people. I've
Oh.
never read for anybody pregnant at all. It's nothing spiritual or anything like that. I came into my gift of sight of clairvoyance and claircognizant when I was pregnant with my first daughter. I didn't know I was pregnant. I was sitting on a couch and I was staring off in Brooklyn, and I had a daydream of a girl at 10 years old walking down these stairs of the house we live in right now, the very stairs. We weren't living in this house. We were living in an apartment in Brooklyn. I live in Maryland. But I saw a 10-year-old girl with pigtails walk down the stairs, and she said, "Yes, mommy." I could see my deceased foster mother. Plain as day, I was screaming and hollering in my home because she was there. And she was the one who told me after, she wasn't deceased at the time, but she told me that I was pregnant with my daughter. Because I didn't believe it. I was like, "There's no way." When I told her about it, she said, "Oh, I dreamt of fish. You're pregnant, definitely." She died shortly after my daughter was born. She showed back up in my house after she was dead. I'm screaming, hollering, like, how in the world is this woman here? And realizing, oh, this is the gift I'm getting into. I saw my twins before they were ever born. Before I was pregnant with them, I saw a boy that I was holding in the hospital, and the nurse said, "Why don't you hold your daughter too?" And then all of a sudden, I had two babies in my hand. I said, "Oh, they look alike." I didn't know who was who. Still thought I was only having a boy, and then ended up having twins. Didn't know, but that was the dream. And then my ex-husband, who I was with, he has no gift, but because he was with me while I was pregnant, he also dreamt of every single, he drew them. He was an artist. He drew my children. And I was like, that's the kid that I saw. So I realized that with me, with child, the evolution just happened so quickly. I could feel things, see things, sense things around me. When I tell people I hear spirit, it's not hearing through my ears. There are words that run across my head so quickly. It's like a full sentence. And because I was an avid reader as a child, I could read them. That's how I do the readings. I just read the words in my head. So I don't read for pregnant people. You have a new spiritual being in your body. That spiritual being is probably trying to figure out what the hell and why the hell are they back here again. And they're sending messages, and I'm not sure who I'm reading for. I can tell you if you're having a boy or a girl. I've been able to walk up to people and say, "Yep, boy, yep, girl," whatever. But I don't read for them. If you are in turmoil, you should book your reading. But to get the reading in the midst of your turmoil, your your energy is heightened, and it's not heightened in a calm, conducive manner. It's more fiery, like this red. It is like, I need help, almost the borderline desperation. So in that energy, you should not. I get a lot of readings about love. I can't stand it, as y'all know. I hate it. I talk about it all the time. I can't stand it. But that's people's main worry. And finances are their main worry. Yes, you should read anytime you have it. If you think your partner's cheating, sure, why not? You already know the answer anyway. But okay, get your confirmation, because tarot is also confirmation.
Hmm.
Um, Finances, you may not know. I can definitely read on you on that. So I would say those are the best. Those are the times when I would say not to get a ring. Oh, and not back to back. If you have already seen
That
another
part.
reader, coming to me next makes no sense. I'm going to give you a different read because I'm a different reader with a different set of spirits, and I'm coming from a different angle. Your other reader is tapped into I don't know what. And you're confused the spirits that way. My mentor taught me that. My mentor won't see anybody for 6 months. You read with him once, he will not see you for 6 months. If he sees you, he turns you away. And I learned that from him. So I turned people away. I had one client who used to meet with me every month because we were mapping out her business plan. Everybody else, I just can't do it. I won't do it. Your dependency on me is very weird. And I don't want to take the place of God. I know who God is. I don't ever want that job or that role. And it's exhausting. And you are not listening. I probably have given you a good advice on what to do and you didn't. And so you're back because you didn't listen. I have very little patience for people who don't listen. I teach high school. I have teenagers in my home. I need you to listen. Love you. I need you to listen. Anything to add to that? Did I miss something?
No, that was perfect. Like the like in the midst of turmoil, like for me personally, I feel like that's the worst. Cuz then again, the so like if you're really heated about something, like that's the energy that's going to come out in the cards. It's going to come out in the reading. It may overshadow the real message that you need at that time.
Say that again. It may overshadow the real message that you need. You might need to heal. You might need to grow. You might need to let go. You coming to me for a reading means you still are hanging on. You're not growing. Say that again. I love that. That should be posted.
Yeah, but it because it's true, because all that's gonna come through is the anger, or all that's gonna come through is the sadness, right? And again, even if the message does come through, a lot of times people are not ready to hear it. They're not in the space to receive it.
Amen.
Yeah, and then the dependence thing, like I know if you okay, so going back to like vetting your reader, right? Some readers will literally just tell you what's going on and that's it.
And that's
They're
it.
not giving you advice. They're not giving you counsel. They're not giving you next steps. If you are fine with, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that because everyone reads differently.
Mhm.
However, it all depends on, again, what is your intention for the reading?
Correct.
If you just want to know something like what is this situation and they give you confirmation, cool. But let's say you're coming because you need advice, or there's a situation that you're trying to
Mhm.
navigate and you don't quite understand, you'll want a reader who will give you advice, someone who can tell you next steps, not someone who's just going to tell you, oh, your shit is real fucked up, all right, that was $40, I'll see you next
Yeah.
time. Like, you don't
What she
want
said
that.
is so important. Find the person that's going to guide you into the next step. If your spirit is able to communicate with another person and tell them this is what you're going through, then your very spirit is able to communicate and say, this is what I want them to do next.
That part.
If they do not give you next steps, that's not a reader. That was a psychologist. They looked at this, they looked at you and your grief, and they already knew what it was. That's a psychologist, that's a therapist. A reader
Exactly.
can tell you the next steps that your spirit team sets, and it will resonate with you. It may not at the moment. You might be in such a turmoil that it makes no sense now. Give it time. The test of time is very important. It does come to fruition. If you're dealing
Exactly.
with me, if you're dealing with Mel, it's coming through for true.
It is. It definitely is. But then what happens with dependence is that you keep getting advice, you keep getting counsel that you're not taking. And not only do I not like that, but spirit doesn't like that either. Like the whole point is, okay, I came to you for advice. This is the advice. Whether it resonates or not, you should meditate on it. Like I think that we've come to a point as a society where it's not just, people aren't doing readings and into spirituality for parlor tricks. This isn't just people want to see magic and shit like that. I think
Yeah.
that as a society, we are elevating, we're ascending. And so it's not just enough, even if you don't read for yourself, I think it's not just enough to be like, okay, let me get this reading and whatever, put it on the back burner. Again, it's all about intention. What are you using it
Correct.
for? And not just and it's not just to take what we say as gospel, right? You need to meditate on that. You need to think about it. You need to see, does that really work with what's going on, or am I open to allowing this to come to fruition at some point in the
Correct.
future?
Correct.
So meditate on it, but don't keep coming back with the same question, because number one, you're going to get the same answer. You're going to get the same advice until you take it.
Same.
Or like, and also, I think personally speaking, it does not behoove you to go to 4 different readers to ask the same question. I don't necessarily know why people would do that. I think it has to do with a certain level of distrust. I think you're coming into the whole situation not trusting because you feel like you need to get like you feel like you need to see, well, who has the better answer, or like, I don't know if I trust this person, let me get a second opinion. But going like, even when I do readings for myself, sometimes I try to be slick and I try to ask the same question in different
Yep.
ways. And
Yep.
spirit will be like, girl, come on now.
Right. I'm not about to play with you today. But you know, when I was younger and I was into like calling these hotlines, I did that. I would call one hotline, talk to one person, then call another hotline, talk to another person, call another hotline, and that showed just a lack of faith. It just showed that I was too lazy to do
That
my own work,
part.
a lack of faith, a lack of trust in my own self. I was really just holding on to the situation. I didn't want to heal from it. I wanted to hear what I wanted to hear. And so I have a lot more sympathy, empathy when it comes to people who do that because I get it. But I also tell them that story. I'm like, listen, I used to be that way too. But there comes a point in time we have to evolve, we have to grow. I don't like feeling like I have to cling on and hold on to something. Now I will let it go. I will let you go. I will let anything go because tarot has taught me how to strengthen myself. You guys can strengthen yourself. I think we're all gifted. I think we all just haven't tapped into these realms yet. I think everybody can get a stack of tarot cards and put their mind to it and really study and practice and try. And even if they don't succeed or everything, they still get a message out of it. I think that the more they do it, the better we get. I'm not a hairstylist, but the more that I've been working with my weaves, I can whip my weave up pretty well, pretty decent enough. I feel like people can too. It's just how far you're willing to go after that initial step. Because tarot is more than just the cards. Again, as I talked about earlier, there's a lot of mysticism that's in here. There's a lot of historic background in here. So we're unlocking chambers of things you got to be ready for it. Don't get a reading if you're not ready to hear the answer.
Mm,
Just acknowledge your own answers and move on. Just call
exactly.
them. Just go call them. You know you're going to pull up anyway. Just go stand outside of her door. You know you're going to do it anyway. Go ahead. My
Yes.
favorite.
Yes. So I know you don't like doing love readings, but I find that that's what most people want to know about. So may I ask, why do you not like doing love readings?
You know, love is the ghetto, okay? Let me tell you. Love is the fucking underbelly of the fucking earth. Okay? I shouldn't curse. Oh, I'm not supposed to curse. Listen, y'all. I have been burned enough to where I have learned at 45, I'm done. I've given up dating for 2 years now. I just decided I don't want to do it anymore. It has brought me so much peace. I swear. I smile every day. I laugh every day. Even when I'm stressed about something, it ain't a man. I'm stressed about another human. It will be my children that I have to knock out before anybody else. And I love them enough not to really kill them, but just to like harm them a bit. Should I have said that on here? Anyway, I just am like, I think from doing tarot readings, it has jaded my ideas of love. I realize that everybody's a cheater. Everybody hates people. Nobody has respect. Nobody wants love. Everybody wants to split a bill and be a city girl or a rough rider. Nobody wants. Y'all want to at bed, at bed. That's what y'all want to do. Y'all want to bark and
Oh
act
my
bad.
God, you're killing me. But I
Y'all
love
want to
it.
bark and act bad. Roof, roof, what you really want from her? And then you want to act bad, act bad, act bad, act bad. Everybody wants that in a relationship. So go. I can't. I'm old school. I'm also again a Scorpio, Leo, Sagittarius, with all Leo after that. Leo and Scorpio is just fill up the rest of my chart. So I like it about me. I want everything, all of it, and it doesn't work. And I have found my own self putting myself in situations I shouldn't. I'm very clingy, possessive, obsessive. Tarot has helped me to really notice a lot about myself. I own you. Okay, you kiss me. Oh, you mine. We real bad. We together real bad. Okay, you not about to.
That is that Scorpio jumping out, definitely.
Yes. So because of my energy and because I have not learned to temper that, it's easy for me to just get rid of it. And I'm very happy in this space. A lot of people are not happy for me in this space, but I think that they hate it. They're, girl, you need a date. You should be with somebody. I think there are people on this planet who are just meant for this. I've been married before. I've known what it was to be loved and to love back. I have witnessed all of that. It is not worth it. I like peace of mind. I like going to bed, eating my ice cream and cookies if I want. I like snatching off my wig at night when I want. Not that I couldn't do that with my other people, but I like me. I like coming and going as I like. I'm not into the dating scene. So when people are asking me about love relationships, it is difficult. One, did you get the advice? Did you get the permission of your partner to ask me about them? Violation number one.
Oh, yeah, we need to get into that part.
Yeah, I would feel away. There's a violation. Did you ask? I can tell you about the relationship. You're part of it. But if you
But I
want to
can't
know
be
what he's
telling you,
thinking,
oh, what he's doing or who he
yes.
talking to. Like, no, no, no,
Yes,
no,
and I've done
no.
it. I've done that. I've tapped in. I've asked spirits, hey, go ahead and invite their person in. And then I've had to do extra duty prayers on top of it, or I've had to do protection on top. I had to do extra, so I do it. It's just if you're not at peace of mind about it and you feel a certain way, exit, leave. You're spending your money with me to still stay in the same relationship. And I'm tired of hearing the same things over and over. No woman is feeling worthy by these men. No men are feeling respected by these women. They're debating about splitting a bill. It drives me. I'm like, what? And it's an ex. You let an ex come back? Didn't you ex him for a reason? Didn't you get better out for a reason? So you sitting there with them bumps on your face and you just think it just came out of nowhere, huh? It bothers
I
my
know you
soul.
didn't.
Let me see a 7 of Wands. Let me see a 9 of Wands. You
Oh,
don't
a
got
knight
it.
of wands. Oh, knight of wands. When you see that, it's
The
like,
9 of Wands is all
girl.
them sticks that gives me the itchy yayas. But I don't like doing them. I feel like there's so much. Once I had given up dating, I found that there's such a greater world outside of what we find as romance. I think we have a jaded sense of what romance is because we only know this. What if love in somebody else's language is different? Somebody's love language just might be saying good morning. That might be it. But you're expecting flowers, cars, and candy in the world. Me. That's me. I'm talking about me. I expect all of that. But their love language might just be sitting next to me. So I don't think we really know what it is. And I hate even dealing. I do them because that's what brings the clients. So I can't lie to you all. I have to have clients because I can't do everything for free. I do a lot for free. Um, but a lot comes from that realm. And it bothers me at the end. At the end of the reading, I can't let it go. I always feel like I need to do some work to help them. So
Hmm.
that's why I don't like doing love readings because I find it hard to detach. If somebody's heart is broken, it hurts me. So I'm like, hey, we can do this to help. I should not be offering that. I should let them sit with it. Long story, not so short. That's why I don't like doing them. I'm a wood.
Under
I'm,
understandable.
I'm a wood.
Understandable.
I
Yeah,
was a wood.
because
I am not anymore.
mhm.
I'm not. I don't play. I know what I like. I know what I want. Mm-mm.
Well, that's good. Like that's a great place to be, right? Because so many people are out here, they don't know what they want or they think they know what they want, but they're not sure about it. They're not sure about themselves. They're not sure about their partners. Like it's a whole I get it. I get it. They can be very frustrating, especially when people are asking questions that they don't need a reading for, that they know they just need to sit with themselves and get right with themselves. Like you don't need me to tell this to you. You need to sit with yourself and be like, okay, what am I doing? How am I showing
Sis,
up?
sis,
It's very
I
it's
hope
very
this person is
frustrating.
not on the line. I hope, but I did a reading for one girl. Not even for. I didn't charge her. I gave her my phone number. I was like, hey, if you have any problems, just text me. She calls me. We on the phone for almost 3 hours. I'm convincing her, talking to her like, listen, you could let this go, blah blah blah. She never did what I said. After those three hours, she never did a thing that I said. They're now going through the thick of it in court. And every time she hits my phone, I'm like, did I already told you? I have nothing more to say. It irritates my soul when people don't listen. But I'm sure God was very irritated by me by not listening to him. And so I ain't got time for it. I do make time for it, but I don't like it. I just want to talk about other things. There's so many other things we could tap into that will bring love into your life, that will cause you a glow up, that will bring
That
people to you, that make
part.
you feel that good, peaceful vibe, that make you feel on high. There are things that will do that.
Say that again. There are other things that will bring love into your life, that will open the door so that you're not like, I think that one of the things that unfortunately society has conditioned people to do is to chase love all the time and not attract love. And tarot can tell
Yes.
you what you need to do to attract love to you, because love is not supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be full of drama. It's not supposed to be
Thank you.
the
Thank you.
things that you hear in songs and the things that you see people going through. Like, love is supposed to be, there are challenging times in love, don't get me wrong, but it's not supposed to be this whole playing games and manipulation
Thank you.
and all of that stuff. That, and that's the, what I think that's the frustrating part. So I get you on this, is that that's what people come to you for. They come to you for these stupid games, or they come to you
Yes.
for superficiality when they
I'm
don't,
firm
like,
for that.
like what Rob said before. He said most people want love readings, don't want to do anything about themselves, and it gets frustrating, which is so true. Like, there's so many things, like you said, that can open you up to attracting love to you, but instead you want to know what his baby moms is doing. You want to know if he's the girl that he works with, that his work wife, are they fucking, and this, that, and the
Yeah,
third, and you asking stupid questions. Me, and
that
I'm
part.
sorry, but I do think that there are questions that are stupid. I'm not someone who says, "Oh,
I'm one
all
of those
questions are."
believers too.
Yeah, there are some questions that are stupid, because it's like, so what role do you play in the relationship? Like, what are you bringing to the
Correct.
table, right? And
Correct.
then you brought up another very important topic, which is consent. Like, and I really, this really hit home when we did Reiki. You cannot heal people if they don't want to be
They
healed,
don't want to be healed.
right? But it's also like an ethics thing. Like, you can't just be looking into everyone's business. Like, tarot is not your opportunity to see what your neighbor is doing or how much money your cousin is making. Like, that is none of your business. Like, you cannot just open, first of all, I definitely don't do that. If you have a question about a relationship, it's your involvement in the relationship. But
Correct.
I am not going to tell you what your partner is doing outside of the relationship or what. If it comes in the reading, then it comes in the reading, because obviously that information is pertinent to
Right.
you. But you can't just go to tarot readers asking for, "Oh, well, I want to know what's going on with so and so." And I'm going to tell you no, because you're not supposed to
Yeah.
do that.
It's not ethical, and that's another part of the vetting. Please make sure that they're ethical, y'all, because trust me, you don't want that grime on you. Just saying.
That part, because you don't know what spirits walk with that person, what they got on them. It's like you are just opening yourself up to a lot. And it's just think of it this way. Like, how creepy would it feel if you had someone who was looking into your whole business, if you had someone who was looking into how much money you're making, or who
I
you're
would be offended.
seeing, or what's going on in your house, right? You wouldn't want that either.
I
So
would be offended.
yeah, you can't be doing that to other people.
No, absolutely not.
That's
Oh,
just like, just don't be a creep or be nosy or something like that. Like, that's just not the way to go. Let's see. Okay, so tarot versus oracle. How do you feel about that?
I when I first started, I was heavily into tarot cards. I have a few oracle cards. Um, I have to say, I'm not a fan of the oracle cards itself. I think that we can be oracles. I think people have tapped in and have created cards to help us with that. I do use them when I know that there's a larger message that I need to give. I don't do it on an everyday basis, but I feel like the oracle should be used to give the larger messages that would not be seen in tarot. Some tarot is about the little small journeys that we're taking. The oracle can give us that bigger overarching message, that either the goal that we're looking for, either the massive obstacle that we need to look out for, or the mountain that we're building up within ourselves that needs to be knocked down. And so more tarot. It's a split. I am tarot, clairvoyant, oracle.
Mm.
I trust, and I probably would put clairvoyance before it. I know that my gift had came in mad early, so I just use the cards as a backup for self doubt. But my oracles will come when I know that I have not summoned or tapped into any spirit, when I have not meditated, and I think there's a larger message that could be given.
Okay, I completely agree. Yeah.
Not a fan. I'm looking at them now. Like, I have two oracle decks that I really like a lot. The Kipper ones, I really enjoy
I
those.
use those too.
Liniment, I enjoy those a lot. But the love oracles, I'm not gonna do that
I
again.
know you're probably
I
like,
still miss you. I want you. I wish you would come back. I'm
uh,
changing for you. No, they're not. I promise you, because if they were, they would have still been there.
that's you bring up a very good point because oracle decks are self-made, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like some Oracle decks, I feel like, again, I get guided to use certain decks for certain readings, certain days of the week, whatever, right? And generally, I feel like Oracle decks, it's like the whole book. Tarot is like the sentence, the
Yes.
chapter. It'll
That's it.
give you
Correct.
the breakdown, which is great. But yeah, it now that you say it, it really makes me realize some of these Oracle decks, I'm sorry. I don't know who you were channeling when they made those decks, but yeah, especially the loved ones. Oh, like those twin flame ones. It's like, girl,
Oh,
every
those
message
are
is
the worst.
positive. No, that's not real. That's
They
not
keep people
realistic.
hanging on to something that no longer exists. I don't like. I don't like them. I can't stand them.
Some of them are like bubblegum and Skittles, and it's like, what? No, you know the Oracle don't really speak like that.
No, no, no. That's why I appreciate Linneman and Lenormand and Kipper, because
Yes.
they're not words. They're the images, and it still allows you to tap into your own intuition or clairs to get the right message from it.
Yes, exactly. Like I love that you brought that up because that is such an accurate depiction,
I hate them.
especially like a lot of those decks, and this is no shade to anyone who makes decks. Like I do there are decks out there that are like channeled messages.
Yeah.
But some of these, especially the ones that I don't know if you've ever like seen all of those decks that people make like on Etsy, like they put on Etsy and stuff like that. Like people
Yeah.
make these self-made decks and it's just like either they're like ratchet as fuck, like some of these decks, like
But
they've
they're
got things
selling,
about
aren't
like
they?
STDs and like cheat, like just craziness, crazy ratchet, or it's bubblegums and raindrops. Like, oh yes, every card is like he's coming back, she's your queen, and it's like
And they're selling, though. People are so desperate and they want to be loved and told about love, and they want what we see on TV so badly that they will believe that. He just beat your ass. You don't want him back. She just ran off with your money. She just humped your best friend. You don't
there's,
want her back.
there's no coming back from that.
What? What? It just baffles me. But reading for other people has also helped me to see that society at large needs a healing, a massive healing needs to happen. Massive misinformation is being placed out there. There's a vacuum that's sucking people into a world that is not real. And I try to blame social media for it. I can't help but place the blame there, but that's how also I get to do my reading. So it's hard to put it on that platform, but people are really desperate to hear any glimmer of hope for what they want. And we need a huge healing, especially after COVID. I mean, the line of my students, even who have obviously found out of the work I do, they are lined up outside of my door daily asking me for readings. Daily. I have to tell them daily, I do not read for children. I do not read for
Yeah,
students. I do not
that's
read for students. I do not read for
mhm.
students. I used to when I first started. And then I stopped because I had one student who bawled crying. She didn't know her parents were divorcing.
Oh.
And I was like, so how are you dealing with the divorce? And she's like, what? And I was like, your parents, the separation, how are you dealing with it? And she's like, they're not separated. And they were.
Aw.
They very much were. And I stopped. I don't read for children, but my students are so desperate for attention, love, knowledge. They ask me constantly. We need a massive healing on this planet. Everybody should just get their own cards and get with themselves. Get with spirit. Start with prayer. Start with church, Catholic church, mass. Start with a foundation of honoring something greater than yourself, of learning to listen to what's inside of yourself. That's the most important part. Whitney Houston had it. The book of Whitney said the greatest love of all is inside of you. It is. I'm telling y'all, there ain't nobody who can love you like you. Okay,
That
that's
is
my
so
soapbox.
true. That is so true. And you also bring up another good point, not reading for children. I personally don't know anyone who reads for children, but I know that a lot of readers have an age limit. You know, you can't be under 18 and getting a reading. Um
Yeah, it's not healthy for kids, and their prefrontal cortex is not all the way developed yet until 21. So, like, their rising sign is not even there until then. They just have their decision making skills aren't there. So, you'd be giving them a bunch of information and they would be able to do nothing with it. If you tell
mm,
them, hey, you need to eat more fruit, if they have no access to their parents' grocery bills, or their parents' money, how are they going to be able to do that? I just think
true.
it's too much of a burden on children. We should definitely not do it. I was doing it at first until that point, but not deep tarot readings. We were messing with like pendulums and other things, and my school did like an expose on me, so I had to read for somebody for the expose, which was great. And then you could see her actually crying on camera because the predictions were true. It's just a lot for children. I just think I
Mhm.
don't. 18 is still a lot. I think 21 and up is best. I think when they're independent and strong enough to handle everything that is going to be told.
Mhm.
That's the best
Yes.
time.
Agreed. Agreed. You also brought up another interesting point about telling people things that like surprise them or that are happening that they have no idea about. Can you talk
Yeah.
more? Like, have you had other experiences where you're telling
Yes.
people like some crazy stuff that's actually going on and they have like no idea about it?
Yeah, I had one woman as I was reading, and we were reading for her and her husband. Her husband was there. He's in the background. I'm reading for her, and the money actually came out, her money card, and she had the five of, I will never forget her. She had five of pentacles, five of swords, and the five of cups. And I found it very amazing that she had all these fives. I'm like, what's going on with your money? The next card I just digged in and dealt, and I was like, seven of swords. So I was like, who is stealing your money? Somebody's stealing your money. You better check your bank account and I told her, I said, yeah, you may not have gotten your paycheck. I thought that because there was also a page of pentacles. So I thought banker. I'm like, oh, check your bank. You may not be getting your money right now. I don't think that the bank is about to pay you your check. The husband said, oh, no, no, no. We got to get our money. He's in the background. No, we got to get our money. I was like, well, check with the banks tomorrow. This is that night. Check with the banks tomorrow because you've got all these files that said you're going to be disappointed. Somebody's stealing from you. And it looks like it's the bank. Like your money is not going through. It was their son stealing money from their bank account.
Oh my gosh.
Dad got on there, immediately checked his account. He's like, now I know I just checked this. Son was siphoning 54. That's what all the fives kept coming out. $54, $54 every 5 days. It's something they later we found out the number. But he was like, I saw yes, 55, 54. He said $54. What'd you pay $54 for? She was like, I ain't take no. So they on here talking. He was like, all right, we'll figure it out. And I was like, yeah, because we're running on time here, and I really got to go to bed soon. So we're just going to continue talking. The next
So
day,
handle your
she
business
showed me, sent me
yourself.
a
I got to go to
whole.
bed.
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta go to bed. Sent me a whole text message. Son was taking every 4 or 5 days. He was taking $54 out of the account where they wouldn't notice, putting it into his own account, just stealing money from them,
Wow.
and they had no clue. Now, the other story, of course, was of my student whose parents had gotten the divorce. The other one, more of them are more confirmation of what they already know, but they just may
Okay.
not know how deep. I had one woman, her husband definitely went to a bruja, a witch, and got work done on his wife. For
Oh, that's
her,
the
yes,
worst.
on his wife, because she kept saying, some days I don't feel right. And as I'm reading, tarot card is everywhere, but the magician card on three different decks kept coming out. The magician.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, as above, so below is all I'm getting. I don't know if he put a spell. She was like, oh, he works in a mystical shop. He works in one in Las Vegas. And I'm like, oh, no, my magnetic lash did not just come on. No, the fuck she did not. Bitch, you better get back on here until we done. You better act like you know until we finish. You better stop playing with me. You gonna get on this eye today. Hold on. You're not gonna have me up here looking like one eye Willie. One last Linda. My name Poseidon's Gypsy, sis. You better get
Oh my gosh. That was hilarious.
little magnetic lash says bye. Anyway, she had the magician card so many times on 3 different decks. When I asked her, she said he worked in a mystical shop in Las Vegas. And I was like, oh, she was like, oh, but he just assists with like stocking. I was like, I don't think that's what he does.
He assists with a lot more than that.
So then
Come
I'm
on
like,
now.
go ahead. So she goes to his room and she's like, oh, he just has a few things here. Child, that man been doing witchcraft on her. This man had every tool found pictures of her on top of a jar.
Oh no. Oh my gosh.
She
Where they
lifted up the
live, where
jar.
she lives.
Yes. On
Oh
his
my
side of the bed. She lifted up the jar and she was like, see, there's a picture of me right here. I said, oh,
God.
that's what I keep my little black. I keep my black obsidian right here since then. I said, oh no, don't show me that shit. I said, girl,
Oh
he
my
putting spells on
gosh.
you. On the back of the photo were dates, times, her name written around and around and around. And so I talked to her and I was like, that's a ritual. Writing your name around, putting a bay leaf on top of it, bringing money,
Mm,
trying to keep you. And she was like, it's stuck to honey. And I was like, oh, he's trying
okay.
to keep
He's sweetening up the thing. All
correct.
right. All
I was like,
right.
do you fuss a lot? Are you a fusser? And she was like, I do. I fuss a lot. I was like, yeah, he's trying to keep you nice and sweet. And she's a beautiful woman. So I was like, okay, he probably has some fears about you going out. But that was the extent of it. Just nonsense like that. Let me put my Aaliyah suit over there. Back, forth and forth. Y'all ain't about to see. We going back to the
Oh,
90s, y'all.
it looks good though. It looks good.
Okay.
It looks
My
good.
little flash. My little Damn it, Kiss. Y'all gonna get it. You're supposed to stay on at least for 3 hours. It ain't been nothing but what, 2 hours? But you're gonna get back on here, bitch.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
You gotta keep it real, okay?
Exactly. Exactly. Always. So if you guys have any questions about tonight's topic, anything you want to know about tarot, please feel free to hit up the chat. Make sure that you put 3 question marks in front of your question so I know exactly what it is. All right. So what else do you have to say about tarot and divination? So apart from tarot and oracle, do you do other forms of divination?
I do divination. I'm a hoodoo worker.
Mhm.
And I can't believe I left the doll upstairs. I have several altars in my home, but maybe 7, 8 altars in here now. I think my children are over the amount of altars I have at this point. So I was the other day. I think a while ago I was talking to one of my plants. I love my plants, and my daughter comes down the stairs, and I was like, "Oh, hey, Aj, you okay?" She was like, "Mom, at this point, I don't even know who you're talking to anymore. I mean, I'm talking to spirits all the time. I'm talking to plants. I'm talking to broomsticks. I'm doing a lot." So I do divination as well. I do honey jars. I sell honey jars to sweeten things that people want to have in their lives, to sweeten somebody who is already their spouse. You cannot, I do not do a honey jar if you are not tied into a vow with one another. And that
That's what
spouse has
people don't
not,
understand about that work. Like
must,
you can't make someone love you who don't love you.
you cannot. It doesn't work. If people tell you they can, I'm telling you it's a lie.
They're
It won't
stealing your
work.
money.
It may work for a day and it's going to flop and it's going to turn back on you. I would suggest that you don't do that.
That
And
part.
I've never done that, but I've done honey jars for spouses. The only thing is you have to do a reading with me beforehand so that I can make sure you're getting the right jar. Some people, they give me a list. I want this, and this. Nope, nope, nope. A honey jar focuses on one thing that we sweeten. I do fighting negativity sprays. I do home cleanses. I don't do home cleanses as much because I have my godchildren who come here to visit now. And so those energies like to attach to little people. And I don't want anything attached to
Mm.
small people. They really do. They haven't attached to my children at all. But when it comes to tiny people, they love it. They're vulnerable. They're open. They're young, got good energy. So I can't do a lot of home things, but I can tell you what to do with your home. Crystal healing, of course, Reiki, a lot of candle magic. I do a lot of candles for people. Prayer works for them. So yes, I do, and I do incorporate my tarot with those works as well. And most of the time, I don't charge for those works, which is very strange that I don't. It's because my heart is just like, oh, I know what to do and I can help. Those works cost a great deal of money. Honey jars are mainly what I charge for, but I'm looking up at all of my altars now with the candles burning at this point. I just have empathy and say, okay, I feel like I should help in these areas. I work with dolls. Um, I have a cash doll that's upstairs now that I just took back out. I don't use them a lot because they are real, they are alive, they are living. It has freaked me out on a number of occasions in this house to see things move or to hear a sound that I know did not come from anybody. So I do work with those dolls to summon or things like that. I do work with our ancestors, heavy on ancestors daily. I feed them, I talk to them. I work with different spirit guides and deities. But yep, I do a whole lot of things because,
I
again, the
see.
rabbit hole is open and I can't pull myself back. And the next thing that I'm getting into now is like a mountain of spirits, like having the spirit actually mount me to give the readings now. As
Mm.
opposed to me just speaking it, I will allow them now to do that. Probably coming up this fall or 2024 is when I break out with that. I've done live readings on Instagrams where I've talked to the dead, and it freaked me all the way out. Y'all have seen me online, like literally shaking, crying, taking on the counterpart of these people. But I like it now that I'm getting used to it. I get it. I just want to make sure I do it correctly and that I can release them when it's time for them to go back to where they need to go. I do all that, y'all.
I see. I
And I
see. It
wear my
runs the
eagle eye
gamut.
just to make sure.
Got you. Got you. Got you. Yeah. So that's great that it runs the gamut with everything that you do. So someone can come to you for a reading and then be able to get the spiritual work that they may need as well. Like that's important because a lot of people
Yeah.
need that.
Yeah, and and I know that that's up my alley. At first, I had imposter syndrome. I was like, "Do I really know this? Am I really doing this?" And then I realized that I needed that as a child. I needed somebody not to just read me or go off on me, but to teach me afterwards what to do with that energy or what's the next steps or how can I get help in a different way. And I'm really good at it. It was the first thing that I got into outside of the tarot cards was candle magic.
Mm.
Was the very first part before crystals was candles. But now, yeah, I do it, y'all.
Nice. I
Mm.
like that. I like that. And keep that in mind, guys. So if you need a reading and you need spiritual work, she is definitely the person to
I
be hitting up. All
do.
right. And I will have her information in the description box below. All right. So we do have a question. And the question is, do you feel different if you haven't done a reading for a while? Like, for instance, I feel a lot heavier if I don't make time to write for a while. And that's one of my passions.
I love that question because yeah,
Hmm.
I'm actually working on writing a book right now. That's crazy you said that. It's just difficult to work on this book. Yes, I do. I used to do readings online every day. I lived for it every morning before I went to work. 6:30, I'm on the line doing them readings every morning.
Hmm.
Now my mentor was explaining to me that it's a lot. Not for me, but the dependency is getting there, and that sometimes the readings will keep repeating because there's nothing new that just happened the next day. So I backed off and I only do readings now twice a week. I don't like it. I'm going to up it to 3 times a week and then back to 4, I'm sure, because I there's a connection there. There's something that's a part of me, that's a part of them, that's a part of these cards that I need, just like you with writing. Like it's kind of like people have to go to the gym to work out. That's our salvation. Your writing is your salvation. Me reading and getting into the mystical things, it keeps my mind off of any worrying, any stress, anything that I don't need to be entertained by. This world occupies me, especially with 7, 8 altars. I think it's 8 altars in the house. All altars have to be kept up. They've got to be worked. They have to be fed, cleaned, clean. It's a lot of work. So when I don't get to do my readings, I am upset because I know I've spent a lot of time working on altars, but I need those altars to keep up with the other spiritual side and to get people's work done. So yes, I do miss it. And I will up my game back to 3 times a week. Period. That period, I rolled it and go well because one lash is off. So
No, you good. You good. You good.
okay.
I know for me, like I said, so I read for myself every day. So, but there are times where I feel like I kind of need to wean myself off a little bit, like, because sometimes I'll get kind of extra with it, like almost for everything I'm doing a reading, and I'll catch myself and be like, yeah, no, you gotta slow down a little bit, you gotta reflect more. Like the same advice I'm giving tonight, I give
Yes.
to myself as well. So I'm like, all right,
Yes.
let me not do so many readings. But
How
I
many
do
cards do
find
you pull when you do your readings for yourself?
7.
Wait.
7.
Sis, 7 a day?
Yeah.
Oh, you're not playing. I thought you were doing like a 1 card pull. I'm like,
Oh
oh,
no.
1 card pull, a 2 card, a 7. You're doing a whole in-depth psychic reading.
Yes.
My
I
girl
mean,
said,
and
I
sometimes
want to
sometimes it'll be a
know.
little more too.
My girl said, I want to know what time I'm going to burp, what time I'm going to eat, what time I'm going to watch this show. I want to know everything before I start today. You ain't about the games, Mel. You said you're not about the games.
I'm not. I'm not. Yeah, I usually pull 7. But yeah, exactly. Which is why I have to wean myself off sometimes because it just be too much. But
Yes.
when I go for a while without reading, I wouldn't say I feel like heavy. I feel like sometimes I need a break. Sometimes I'm guided to put them down. Other times I'm not. So I try to, apart from me doing my regular readings, I try to align myself with spirit so that spirit dictates
Yes.
when I do it, how I do it, all of that kind of stuff. Obviously, if you have like clients and stuff like that, like that's
Right. You
something
have to do
different.
that.
But when it
Mhm.
comes to like personally, I try to let spirit run the show.
You try with
I,
7
I
cards
try. Yeah,
a
I'm like,
day.
and here's the thing though, like it came down from 7. Like I used to do a whole Celtic cross with the 4 extra cards, and then
What in
sometimes
the?
And then sometimes I would put clarification cards on the Celtic cross. Like, girl, 7 is like I've trimmed it down to 7.
Okay, okay, I give it to you. At least it's practice, right? Practice makes perfect. It helps you. Y'all, if y'all don't
Exactly.
know why we're laughing, it's because
It's a
that's
lot.
even me every day. I only give people 2 cards a day. I'm
I
not giving them
know.
7.
Oh wait, Hollow said Mel no like surprises. LOL. Yeah, no.
Not
I
at
my
all.
my Virgo son likes I like to see the nice picture. I like to see the details. I like
I
for
see.
spirit. I like for spirit to tell me the little things, right?
I see. Oh no. I'll be like, don't tell me nothing. Don't tell me anything.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we've come to the end of this discussion. This has been great, very insightful. I hope that you guys have learned a lot as well. So, Miss Poseidon Gypsy, what sort of closing remarks do you have to leave with the audience with respect to tarot, divination, spirituality, whatever you feel guided to say right now?
Hmm. Most people ask me like, how do they start their spiritual journeys? And I give them 2 answers: the Bible and tarot cards. The Bible, one, because that was my spiritual foundation, and a lot of those truths and symbolisms are found also in the tarot cards. And I say tarot because they're pictures, symbols, and we've learned as children. We started reading picture books. We saw a cow. We knew the cow made a sound. It's made a sound and moo. We didn't know what the cow did, but we knew from that picture, that black and white picture, that it was going to go moo. And I feel like sometimes when we look at these pictures, really resonates with us. Symbolism does help us to tap in. So if you're wondering how you could start your spiritual journey, Bible, tarot, and a crystal, a rose quartz if possible. I definitely believe in self-love, love of yourself. My crystals are everything to me. I would say start there and go slow. Please do not try to be famous or a TikTok star from tarot cards. That's not how it works. These cards have multiple meanings. I'm sure I could interview any of those people and they could not tell you some basic tarot principles that they should know. You want to make sure that your divinator, your spiritual person, your astrologer, your tarot reader, whatever they are, that they are in alignment with their craft, that they know their craft, that they feel confident when they're reading in their craft, that they're not just searching for something or reading out of a book, but that there's a direct alignment. Y'all all know what that looks like. You know what it looks like when somebody got it. Make sure that they got it before you entertain them in your personal lives. That's it.
That was great. That basically wrapped up everything in a beautiful little package. Beautiful little package. Thank you so much for joining me for this topic. One of my favorite topics. You're one of my favorite readers. So I was so excited to have you on tonight. And if you guys want to book a reading with Poseidon's Gypsy, aka NY Synergy on IG. You'll see that right under her picture right there. That's her Instagram handle. So definitely hit her up on Instagram. She does almost daily tarot readings by sign that they are accurate. When I say accurate,
Okay.
accurate.
Okay. Thank you.
So definitely
I'm actually
follow
going to go
her.
along and do some tonight. I'm going to actually hit up the masses and do a little pull tonight.
All right,
I
that's
feel
what's
good.
up. So
I
definitely hit
feel
her
good.
up on Instagram. Follow her. She is dope. She also has a YouTube channel. I don't know how often you post to your YouTube channel, but on YouTube, she is Poseidon's Gypsy. All right. So I will have both of those links in the description box below. All
Thank
right.
you so
Thank you.
much for having me. This was amazing.
Oh,
Thank you.
no
Thank you.
problem. It was my pleasure. And I hope that you guys truly enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. You know, I've got the weekly astro forecast, the monthly astro forecast, and now we're doing this monthly truth about series. All right. So hit that notification bell so you're always notified when I come out with new content. All right, my loves. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have an amazing night, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, guys.
Bye.